He was nice enough to answer the phone for us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Howes.
Good morning.
Well, that's not a very bright and cheery way to start a Tuesday, is it?
No, it's not, but it's true.
Well, everybody says they have the answers, and they're going to tell us that during the campaign. Is that realistic to think that somebody can fix it?
Well, look, I think one of the things we clearly need is some clear-voiced leadership and direction. And I think that's one thing that these candidates can answer. Another is that they can stay focused on the core issues of what makes a state competitive and what makes it tick and attractive for investment and what is totally irrelevant and overly emotional. And we saw back in 2006, remember the Chinese teddy bear? Remember the talks about shipping jobs to China, all of which was irrelevant and largely untrue. If you spent some time digging into the issues as I did at the time. All beside the point. It does get people all whipped up, but it doesn't do anything. I mean, we've had a situation now where the sitting governor in all of her economic development trips all over the world has refused to engage China, which, oh, by the way, is the number 2 largest economy in the world, and clearly is looking to be much more aggressive in the auto industry space. And we have a lot of talent, and we could be invested in here in Michigan. And that's one missed opportunity. So I think there's an awful lot of things that these folks can focus on that are important to the state and can give us some traction. You know, markets are forward-looking, and that includes people who are looking to invest and expand their businesses in various states. That's really not what that governor does and how quickly they're going to get something done in, say, March or April of next year, but it's what's the tone, what's the plan, and do they start executing on the plan and do it aggressively and frankly, do it without fear or favor. And start to really attack structural deficits and some of the things that the current leadership has been pretty reluctant to do.
Does Rick Snyder need a running mate that has legislative experience in order to facilitate these sorts of things if he were to get elected?
Well, yes, I would think so. Look, I think it's one of the things about business people running and moving into the political space. I think and certainly there have been people, including me, who've advocated that. Mostly because I think it's you want somebody that takes a holistic approach and to governing and does treat a government like a restructuring of a business. I think that's important. One of the downsides, though, is having a person who doesn't respect the legislative process and doesn't understand it. I think we see that a little bit with Dave Bing in Detroit. And he's had some problems with council, and he's privately pretty dismissive of council's issues and the political way they frame certain things. And I think you could clearly get into that trouble if you're a Rick Snyder. You got into that trouble if you're a Jennifer Granholm, I mean, who had never been a legislator. And she had an old hand in the Senate as her lieutenant governor. Clearly, I think he would need an experienced legislator to help him, and the question would be, would he rely on that person to help him run legislation and get it through the legislature? A good CEO or a good governor recognizes their shortcomings out of the box and gets people that help them to be stronger. And I would expect that he would try to do something like that.
All right. Thank you very much for the call this morning. I'd like to talk again soon at length. In the meantime, we'll read you in the Detroit News or at debtnews.com.
Thanks a bunch.
You bet. Thank you very much. That's Daniel Howes, very concise, the top writer there at the Detroit News, looking at the race for governor.